Before Alan started the CBT skills course, he didn't pay much attention to what he did all day. He was retired, so he could do whatever he felt like doing. Before he was depressed, that meant spending a lot of time tinkering with various projects in his garage, helping family and neighbors with fix it projects, going for walks with his wife, Judy, in the neighborhood, and, before his brother Jim died, getting breakfast with him once a week. After he became depressed, what Alan did every day changed significantly. He no longer felt much energy for the projects he'd been working on, and he didn't see much of his family or his neighbors anymore. He spent a lot of time with the radio or TV on in the background, not paying much attention to it, or sipping on beer and brooding about the ways his life had changed. Since he'd started having trouble sleeping, he didn't feel he had much energy for anything. Alan was still doing what he felt like doing, but what he felt like doing had changed a lot. In this course, Alan learned about a new CBT skill called activity monitoring. Using a worksheet called the Activity Monitoring Form, Alan started to keep track of how he spent his time each day. He also ranked each activity in terms of how much pleasure it gave him and how much of a sense of mastery or accomplishment he got from it. It wasn't until Alan filled out his first activity monitoring form that he realized how little time he'd been spending doing things he enjoyed. It reminded him of something he'd learned in an earlier session about the vicious cycle between behaviors and emotions. When Alan looked at his activity monitoring form, it was pretty clear that what he'd been spending his time doing lately, and what he'd been avoiding doing, was making him feel more depressed. And the more depressed he felt, the less energy he had to do things that might boost his mood. Alan also realized that his activities had been giving him a lot of time to ruminate about the things that had been bothering him, and he supposed that all this time spent thinking negative thoughts was probably contributing to his depression, too. Even when he did occasionally do something that used to give him a sense of mastery, like helping fix a leaky faucet, he tended to view the experience through a negative lens and focus more on the trouble it gave him than his success in finally fixing it. Overall, Alan's activity monitoring form made one thing clear. The less active he was, the more depressed he felt. Because of this, Alan learned an important part of recovering from depression would be increasing the number of activities he did each day. The activities that made the biggest difference tended to be things that were pleasurable or gave him a sense of mastery, that helped him face life's challenges instead of avoiding them, and that corresponded with the values that were most important to him. That's why CBT teaches us two separate but related behavioral strategies: activity monitoring and activity scheduling. First, we analyze how we spend our time, then we see what we can do to change it. We'll focus on activity monitoring today.